Well, good morning and welcome to Morning at NTV. My name is Idris Matu and this is Everyday Life, where we talk about finance, economics, health, sanitation, and today is Tuesday, where we talk about money. And in the room I have Mr. Ronald Mukasa. You are welcome, sir.
Hello, Idris.
We talk about money every Tuesday, and I think last week we didn't get a chance to talk about it because Valentine's was happening.
I can only imagine.
And people were in love, were excited. But how did you spend your Valentine's?
In love and excited.
That's a very political answer. You're not giving us the details. We want to know, what did you do? How did you spend your money?
Those are the
details.
You
make budgets? Because I saw some budgets going around on WhatsApp, and people were saying, girlfriend 1,500, boyfriend what? I said, do you need to actually budget for such outings?
I think
special days, if you call them.
It could be key. Possibly the first thing is you want to make an impression. So if you want to make an impression, you need to be creative with the tight budget which you have. So if you are creative enough, I think it makes an impression.
Well, I think one of these Tuesdays we shall be talking about how you plan for your outing, for your entertainment, and probably do you need to budget for your home or your spendings. But today we are talking about human resource. How important is it? Why do people leave? Why do people stay? How can you make your human resource happy? And Mr. Ronald, starting off, what is human resource?
I think when you think about a company, when you think about a small business, when you think about a medium-sized business, there are people who you are working with. And one of the key things which you need to look at as a business owner is, am I making the best of these people? Because with those people you can win, with those people you can actually fail in your business. And then those of us who are members of staff, we are part of this category called the human resource. We are the people who are employed by these businesses. And even you as an individual, you need to reflect on yourself. Are you asserting yourself enough in the company where you are working? Are you asserting yourself enough in the business where you are working? Now, when you talk about small businesses particularly, the first employee is usually you, the business owner, because you also work within your
So you're part of the human resource.
You are part of the human resource. And you need to look at yourself in those two categories. Am I a good employee? Sometimes you might be a good business owner, but you're not working as a good employee. You put in place rules, you don't follow them. So one of the things which you will reflect on is this resource of people within an organization. That is what human resource is. So
usually, I know the word is human, and resource, but nowadays you find companies that use technology more because the evolution has happened and we are using WhatsApp, we're using machines to do certain jobs in banks, in hospitals. How do we term that?
I think when you think about technology, there is definitely the resource of technology also. Technology as a player, as an accelerator of growth in a business. That certainly exists. But I think what we need to be keen about is that in as much as technology has helped ease, there is still the role of the human being in the organization. And that role is key. There is, you can't make a robot which smiles at a customer when he gets into an office. You can try to make it, but it's not the same experience. The power of the experience is how do you actually ensure that you use human beings to actually make sure you grow your business. So when you think about human resource, human resource is working with so many other, they're working with financial resources, they're working with technology, they're working with machines. All these things are facilitating what the human being is doing.
Fun fact for you, Ronald. Recently there's a robot. It's called Sophia. I don't know if you've seen it, but it has been made and it has therapeutical purposes whereby if you are sick in hospital, it can come and talk to you, find out what's wrong with you and help you maybe recover. And this is a robot, an AI robot. It has a face of a human being. It talks to you as a human. It responds to human intelligence. And I don't know where the world is going, but human resource should be worried about this.
Yes, I think
in the near future we are going to be replaced.
I think there is that fear that when technology comes in to replace all human beings, and I think there is, when you see some of the developments, cars which don't have drivers and they're moving around, all those things actually challenge us. But I still believe that at the heart of an experience of
there has
an
to be
organization,
a human.
there has to be a human being, and your job as part of this human resource is to ask yourself, do I deliver that value to a point where people don't feel that they need to replace me with something more efficient?
Well, we have established that human beings are important in business. No matter how technological advancement we have garnered to, a human being is important. Now, as an employer, what do I need to keep in mind when I'm employing human resource, when I'm employing people to work for my company? What are the things that I should keep in mind?
I think one of the key things which you need to reflect on as an employer is, first of all, what exactly do you want to achieve? So you start from what you want to achieve and then ask which people can actually help you achieve this. And you need to make sure that the person who you employ has a good blend of competence and character. It means this person can do the work. If you are employing an accountant, you want to employ someone who actually can be an accountant, who can get the job done. So he's competent. But also you have to weigh his character. How does this person behave? Is he a person of integrity? Is he a person who actually ensures that he fulfills his commitments? Does he come to work on time? That character part is, and when you are getting in someone into your organization, it is kind of simpler to assess competence than it is to assess character. And sometimes character is harder to assess. So someone can come in and they have negative energy. Every time you talk to them, they are telling you about how the company is about to collapse. Things are bad, the economy is bad. Every time you just have to go to them and you'll get disappointed.
So what's more important? Is it competence or character?
I think you have to have a safe blend of the two. And you'll find that the people who work longest or who are very successful in organizations tend to have a very strong sense of character. And because competence can be built. If someone gets into your organization, let's say as you are in TV and you want a cameraman, he may not be good at his job perfectly. But if he's a person who keeps time, who tells you be here at 7 and he's actually here at 7, he has good energy, then you can actually train him to become a good cameraman. It is a bit more difficult to train someone to get that energy. It's not impossible, but it's a bit more challenging. So you want to have a fair blend of competence and character for the people.
So it has to be a 50-50.
Exactly.
Let not you concentrate on so much of the competence. This guy has competence, is able to do this, but the character is bad. And you talked about negative energy and attitude. So many times when I'm discussing with a few friends of mine and probably in a professional setting, we talk about attitude, having the right attitude towards anything, because I believe that whatever attitude you have towards something is what makes that journey possible or not possible. If I tell you today, Ronald, we are going to swim at 1 a.m. in the night, and your attitude is like, all right, let's do it. And you're like, now 1 a.m., who goes for swimming at 1 a.m.? It becomes very difficult to do. But with the right attitude, things are more easier and they become possible, because anything is possible. That's the belief that we have when we go in. And you were talking about competence, and I remembered something. Usually when people are applying for jobs in their CVs and all that, they will list all the best qualities you've ever heard of. I keep time, I work well with others, I'm a team worker. How, as an employer, how do I know that actually all these things, all these CVs that are outlined in the CVs, that actually this person who's applying for the job actually has these qualities? How do I know?
I think it's a very challenging task to actually put a finger. And sometimes that's why you hear that some people are searched for, because the referral, the message is out there, the testimony on them, that by the way, this fellow is actually good at this. And when you think about yourself as an individual, I mean, when you're starting out and you're just joining the workforce, you have no evidence that you can do the work. But if you have worked for 5 years, there has to be someone who can vouch for you that actually, if you take this person and you put them at your reception, they will give the guests an amazing experience. They have done it in this place, they have done it in this place. So you as an individual, as an employee, your task is to ensure that you actually give this, you show that you have this competence. When you're getting in, it's a bit more challenging. The employer will have to assess the evidence. And there's a slight difference between the qualifications and the competence. The fact that someone is qualified to do something doesn't necessarily mean that he's competent, that he actually goes out and does that work. And that is usually what is difficult to assess. And the human resource professionals will go in depth and ask specific questions to be able to assess it. But nothing is as powerful as people saying, Idris can do it. He's good at this. The moment someone else has experienced it and they can give a testimony in you, then you are going up in your career ladder. And that, all of us in our workplaces, we need to know that in a way you are creating evidence that you can do this work. News should be going around that, by the way, this person is the best at this thing. You
remind me of the saying that you have to know somebody to get somewhere.
No, actually, it isn't so much to know somebody. It is also somebody to know you. So it is that if I get a job with my workplace actually every day when I come in, the work which I do, they are kind of assessing me. And very soon, everyone is saying, we need Ronald to write that report. We need Ronald to write that report. When that news goes around, doesn't keep within your organization. It also goes to other employers, the competitors. They say, you know what, if you want the best person, this is the person who you are looking for.
So in other words, Ronald, you're saying that for you to, the more experience you have in a job, the higher your chances to actually get it. And you see, right now, if you have just joined us, we are talking about human resource. You who is looking for a job and you who is looking to employ someone. Now, the questions we are asking, how do you know? How do you assess someone that they are good for the job? Or how do you know that you are good for the job? And going back to Ronald, experience is important. But then look back to some of our graduates who say, I've just left campus, I've just graduated, I have no experience, but I need a job. I have the qualifications. What do I do?
I think one of the things, the qualifications are a very good thing. Having been able to graduate, to get that certificate, it's a good step. And there are lessons which you have been learning in there, which are actually usable within the workforce. Now, the problem is to concentrate a lot on that qualification and forget that sometimes when you get a degree as a business, let's say in business administration, the first job they may give you is a storekeeper or a store assistant. But the question is that if you have got a foot in as a storekeeper, not for a moment should you say that, but this is not business administration. I envisioned myself as someone who is seated in an office. Look at that store as the business which you are managing. Let things happen in that store that had never happened before, that people just enter and within 2 minutes they find what they are looking for, because it was a mess when you got in. The store has never had an inventory list, but now you have gotten into the store and you have organized it. Now that is the competence people are looking for. Because when they hear that you have gone into a hardware shop and you are a store assistant and you have reorganized the store, bigger hardwares are going to hear about you and they will say, you know what, we want that storekeeper, that one, you bring him here. Very soon, possibly companies as big as Mukwano will also say, you know what, we need someone who understands stores. It starts with that opportunity you have gotten. Sometimes this opportunity is not even a job, it is a volunteer opportunity. You have just given an opportunity to sit there, you're not being paid. But use that opportunity to actually build your competence. Let people be able to say what you are good at. They say, you know what, that fellow, if you give him the store, it will be organized. You know that the documents will be in order if he's managing an archive. And that process of saying you have done that, even the MD of the organization will soon be shocked when he looks into the same store and he says, what happened here? I don't know what is happening in here.
You've mentioned something very interesting, and for human resource, for employees to always take opportunity whenever they are given an opportunity.
However small the opportunity.
To make a difference. But now there's also the question of do what you know best. Because at times we want to be masters of, of everything. And we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to do that, we want to do this. What if I'm good at certain things? Let's say out of 10 things, I'm good at 5 things. And then my employer wants me to do probably the 7th. Should I say yes take the opportunity and try to learn something new? Or should I say, I think I'm good at this, let me try to concentrate on this?
And I think you mentioned this earlier, that you can, every time you are given an opportunity or a challenge for that matter, you can be positive about it or you can be negative about it. And one of the things you have to look at, you have to ask yourself, why is my employer pushing me a bit further? You may say that this fellow just wants to maximize profits, so they're using very few employees. That could be your argument. But that said, you might actually observe that your employer is doing it actually for you. They know that you can take on more responsibility. They know you can manage this entire area. But they are saying that, how can I push this person further? I know that they are very good in their technical area, but I want them to supervise 2 more people. Now, the supervision of people irritates you, because you get this fellow who actually doesn't know what they are doing, and that irritating process also teaches you something. So as you grow in your career, it is totally okay to take on new challenges. It's certainly important to focus on where you want to go, but it's important to also say there are some skills which you add. I mean, if you are to reach the top of any organization, for example, you have to be able to manage people. Now, however good you are technically, you need to ask yourself, can I manage people? If you can't manage people, you can't go on to the next level. And that's exactly what your employer might have done, to add you that role of managing 2 people. And then soon you notice they're taking about 2/3 of your time. That's all you are doing. So it's totally okay to take on a few and make sure you
new
grow.
Challenges,
every
growth.
time you feel you are comfortable in your position,
do something
then it is
new.
time to grow. Because you have to ask yourself, how can I be at a plateau? I'm either growing or going down. So if there is no process of saying I am now at a at a plateau. It doesn't happen that way. You are either growing or going down. So if you feel you're at a plateau, chances are high you are going down.
In the aspect, from the angle of an employer and from the angle of an employee, it's quite important for growth, and so many people get stuck. You find yourself doing the same job for, let's say, over 5 years, 10 years. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and there is lack of growth. From an employer's perspective, how long should you keep someone in a particular job?
I think that's a challenging question, and it will vary from industry to industry. Some jobs demand that you have a specific technical competence that takes quite a while to actually develop. Someone may be in that role. Some jobs are more transitionary. Someone starts at that level. You start as an assistant, for example, and then you go up the ladders. They are transitionary. Now, if you find yourself stuck in the assistant job for 5 years, the reflection should be on the employee. Why exactly has my employer found me worthy to go to the next level? Other fellows come and they go to the next level. Possibly there is some reflection which you need to make. What things are you not doing? You may find that it is okay to actually do the same job for 10 years, but you're making the same mistake. You're actually doing the same job the same way. Every time the service has been mediocre and it has been consistent. Now, the employer may struggle to push you out of his organization, but he may keep you at that level. Because so you need to go back and reflect, why am I not growing? And possibly even go a step further and ask your employer that, I have been in this job for 4 years. Exactly why? Then he will tell you that, my friend, you are very poor with people. I can't take you to a supervisory role when you
can't even do this. Yes. You can't do that. You can't do that.
We observed the other time, we gave you this task, you had to work with this person, and he came back and he told us you insulted him. Isn't it true? He said it is true. So that kind of process, then you as the employee, you need to ask yourself, how do I change these competences? How do I ensure that I actually grow out of these vices or these bad behaviors which I might have? So that is true. Sometimes it is that there is just no possibility for growth. You have reached a point and there is nowhere to go unless you displace the MD.
The point is, yes, you're president, you cannot become anything more.
You can't be more. And possibly the time is right for you to ask yourself, do I want to move on to another occupation, to another place where I can be able to grow? And don't forget that your career is a very intimate thing. We spend 8 to 10 hours at work for all our active adult lives. And so it's important to ask yourself, possibly I have exhausted what Uganda can do. I need to be looking for opportunities at the region. And if you are excellent, you can get opportunities at the region. If the region has been exhausted, look at Africa. Can I be able to go further? So that is the process. Sometimes you are in a small organization and growth isn't. But even in a small organization, sometimes you also have to create some work for yourself. Yes, you are told that you have to look for 10 customers. You have found them. But can you create some work for yourself and say, I have also written a customer search manual? And that work wasn't given to you, but it was created. Your boss will be happy that you have actually created it, but you're also learning something.
New. Well, if you have just joined us, we are here on Everyday Life. My name is Idris Matu, and I have Ronald Mukasa, a financial literacy coach. We are guiding you in terms of human resource. Are you an employer? Are you an employee? How should you behave? How should you do? What should you do to grow? And right now we are talking about growth. How long should you stay in a particular job doing the same thing? Should you stay in doing the same thing for 5 years, 10 years? Or should you look out for something new or to grow? Now, going back to being an employee and being an employer, how important is an employee to an employer, to a company, to a what? And what should an employer do? What are the certain things an employer should do to make sure that the employers are delivering? The employees, the employer should do to make sure that the employee is happy, they are delivering, and they are growing.
Yes, I think that's absolutely important. First of all, to your first question, you have to know that you as an entrepreneur, you as a business owner, you as an MD of an organization, you actually need your employees to be able to fulfill whichever dream you have. You may want to grow by 20%. That growth can only be delivered through the people who you employ. And that's why they're absolutely important. But also, the relationship which you have with your employees is one which not only satisfies you, the business owner, but also satisfies the employees. It is that we are spending time together to create this thing called this company or this business. Now, what should we do to be able to actually make sure that the employees are happy? The first thing is pay them. Now, this seems like a no-brainer, but the truth is that paying your employees is absolutely important. The only reason why people choose employment is for security. They want to know that the paycheck is coming on a day, and I will promise everyone, I'll promise my family, I'll promise my neighbors that come the 30th of the month, I will get a paycheck. So when I go to buy sugar from the shop, I tell the shop owner that don't worry, 30th is coming, I will be able to.
I got you covered.
I will be able to. And that confidence is not just to me, the security is also to all the people who I borrow from. So making sure that you pay your employees on time is absolutely important. It is making sure that they know that the safety that actually that paycheck will come. Now, sometimes that paycheck comes before, actually most times it comes before your profit. It is you, the business owner, you may not have a thing, but the employee's paycheck has to be there. You possibly might even have to take a personal loan to be able to make sure the employees are safe. So we need to see you, the company leaders, you, the business owner, ensuring that this paycheck comes. And it's a common problem. Find someone says, you know what, 3 months we haven't been paid. Now, that nothing demoralizes an employee more. Even someone who wasn't going to search for an opportunity will actually go out and what? And attempt to search. So that is one. The other thing about security is making sure the employee is safe. I'll give you an example, something as simple as a contract. Many people work and there is no contract. Actually, there is no evidence. So someone wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, my friend, it's over, you go. So that it goes back to the question of security. Can you be safe if you don't have a letter which shows that actually I'll be safe for the next 2 years at least?
A letter of engagement.
A letter of engagement. So that is key. So the side of security is an important one. The other side which is important is a sense of purpose. Employees need to know that they are important to your organization. And how do you show importance? It is acknowledging when they actually do things which are good. If an employee is excellent, the best salesman, make sure that the whole office knows this man was the best salesman, and let him enjoy that joy of knowing that he did a good job and he was acknowledged. But also the reverse is true. When you are rebuking, don't rebuke too publicly. Sometimes you enter into someone's business and he's rebuking his 5 employees. You came late, you are very lousy, and then he turns to you and says, you can't believe the people I have here, they are all lousy. Do you think you can buy from that job, from that business? You also walk away quickly because you don't want to buy from from a lousy team. So you also have to be careful the way you communicate. So
in other words, you break down your team before even other people come to break it down.
I mean, you just talk to some people and they will quickly tell you that, you know what, my friend, the boss is just so harsh. The sense of saying that you need to have empathy and make sure you put yourself in the shoes of your employees. If you're paying someone as little as, let's say, 100,000, and then you expect him to be at work on time, he might be, and a few days when he's not, you possibly want to listen a bit and say, what exactly explains this? Put yourself in the shoes, because that empathy is also what will help your employees to stand with you when things get tough. Because surely sometimes the cash isn't there and salaries can't be paid in time. But if you are an empathetic employer, chances are high that they will stand with you. But also be an employer who pushes the best out of people. Nothing is more uncomfortable than seeing someone grow in an organization who is not a performer, but possibly because he's the son of the what? of the business owner.
Nepotism.
He's the son of the business owner. He comes in and he's managing you, but he doesn't even know what he's managing. Make sure that reward goes to those people who are excellent. If you are looking for the best accountant, get the best accountant and make sure the reward goes to him. If he's delivering a good job, and the measurements have to be clear. Tell people that, you know what, these are our sales targets. If you hit them, this is how I reward you. Now, if it turns out that you have 5 salespeople and it's only your son who doesn't hit the sales targets, we don't understand why your son should get the car which the sales manager should drive, because he's your son. Your son should go in and make sure that he meets the obligation. So ensure that reward actually goes to the people who deserve it. Because if people who deserve the reward are not getting it, then we have a really big problem. And that is one of the problems. You find that people are demoralized in an organization. You ask him, why aren't you putting in more? He says, but last year I did a very good job. And you can't believe they had a reward for a trip to Nairobi, and they gave
the
it
other
to this
person
fellow
got it
instead of the person.
Well, if you have just joined us, we are here on Everyday Life, and as you know, every Tuesday is Money Tuesday, and we talk about money, we talk about work, we talk about professionalism, and today we are talking about human resource. Human resource involves employer, employee. How should you behave? What should you do? And right now, we are talking about the things an employer, you as an employer, you should do to make sure that your employee